Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening. You're watching Nub's Handheld Collection, a companion series to Nub's Collection where we look at all the physical media I have in my handheld collection. As always, I am your host, Victor Nub, and this hot mess of pixels that we're looking at is Surf Ninjas. Developed by NewFX, published by Sega, and released in the United States in early August of 1993. I say early August because I could not find an actual release date, but I will explain the significance of the release timing in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and get the game started so you don't have to stare at this nonsense. My prince, your destiny is upon you. You are the living heir to a 4,000-year-old throne held by warrior kings. Your father was slain by the evil Colonel Chi when you were but an infant. Even now, he seeks to slay you and your brother, the only other surviving member of the royal family of Patusan. His evil ninja troops stalk you even as we speak. Ooh, evil bad guy. I promise that the game actually does play in a way that doesn't look like this hot mess. Go to America, find the boys and kill the two of them. They must die. I want them both dead. Level 1, Palace Restaurant. And there. So this is what we would normally see during the game. I'm going to pause. Maybe I shouldn't pause. We'll unpause. We'll just leave it. I don't think I'm going to get attacked. If I do, I'll grab the controller real quick. I got a whole bunch of setup I want to go over before we actually get started in the game today, but I know looking at just a random scrambled mess of pixels is not necessarily the most visually enticing, so we'll just leave it here. Surf Ninjas is based on the film of the same name, Surf Ninjas, starring Ernie Reyes Jr. as Johnny, an LA surfer dude who is attacked by ninjas just before his 16th birthday. Ernie Reyes Jr., for you old heads out there, was not only the in-suit stunt actor for Donatello in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, but he also played Keno, the pizza delivery guy in the sequel. Johnny discovers from a mysterious protectorate named Zatch that he and his brother Adam are the heirs to the throne of Patusan, as they mention in the story there, a fictional Southeast Asian country, and that each of them possess mystical powers of their own. Zatch, coincidentally, is played by Ernie Reyes Sr., Ernie Jr.'s father. Together with Johnny's best friend Iggy, played by the lifelong sidekick actor Rob Schneider, they return to Patusan and confront the man responsible for overthrowing the monarchy and installing himself as a dictator, Colonel Chi, who was played by Leslie Nielsen. Johnny and his brother lead a revolt of the people in defeating Chi's army, as well as Chi himself, and Johnny and Adam are installed as the crown princes of Patusan, upon which they promptly abdicate and declare the country a democracy. Rock, flag, and eagle! The movie was an absolute dud. There's no polite way to put it. It grossed $4.9 million against a $6.5 million budget, so it flopped amazingly hard. Now, the question that has to be asked is, if the movie bombed, how and why did the game get made? Well, at the time that the film was only in the script writing stage, New Line Cinema agreed to a financial partnership with Sega of America to develop a Game Gear game. The film's director, Neil Israel, provided direct creative input to the development team at Aspect Co. so they could continue work while the film was still being produced. As a result of this partnership, Sega partially financed the film, and at a budget of $6.5 million, it sounds like they lowballed their end of the deal. The connection goes even further, however. As I mentioned before, in film, Johnny and Adam have special powers as a result of their Patusani heritage. Johnny, of course, has fighting skills because Ernie Reyes was a martial artist, or I guess he still is a martial artist. And his brother Adam discovers that his Game Gear game, conveniently titled Surf Ninjas, shows him events in the real world before they actually happen, and that he can use the handheld to affect the events in real time. While the game assets used in the film were custom designed, the graphics bear enough of a similarity to the actual game to suggest that they may have been designed by Aspect Co. to be used in the final game. Now, as to that nebulous release date for the game, early August 1993, the film released in theaters on August 20th of 1993. This game bears the distinction of possibly, I can't confirm this to be a fact, this is possibly the first ever licensed video game to be released in stores before the film upon which it was based released in theaters. Does it live up to that lofty distinction? No, but we're going to find out why. Anyway, so yes, you do play as Johnny in this story. Of course, while he was still in the US, he was not just walking around without a shirt on, but this is what his final film appearance is when he goes to lead the revolt against the evil Colonel Chi. I just got chucked. Come on, punch him, punch him, punch him. Get him. So the way that the game controls is you do different attacks based on how you hold the D-pad. So if you press up and attack, he does a kick. If you just hold it, just hit the attack button, leaving the D-pad neutral, he does a punch. He can do a sweep if you hold down. He has double jumps if you are moving in a direction, so he can like do a barrel roll, or if you just press it once, he just does a little bunny hop. You can do attacks while you're jumping. I think all you can do is a jump punch. I don't remember if there's anything more to it than that. Now you can see that there was a Game Gear there because, of course, if you go into the menu, which is, again, just this disgusting mess of pixels, there is actually a hint system where you go to your brother Adam and he whips out the Game Gear to tell you what's happening in the future. Complete each level quickly. Okay, well, there you go. That's his hint. Also, there is an option to use Zatch, who is your protectorate, and it turns out in the film, it's actually your Johnny and Adam's uncle, so that's why he was so concerned with their safety. He can actually do like this attack where he cleans the screen of all enemies, and then you turn back into Johnny. I do know that there are some items in the game. I do not remember how to use them, and it's going to be real hard to figure it out, given the way that the menu screen looks in this game, so we'll probably just stick to what we can do without having to go to that ugly, unusable menu system. So there is a barrel roll if you lean forward and down at the same time. Come on, get him. There we go. This is one of the very, very few games that I remember my father actually buying for me. He was not a big fan of me playing video games as my way of entertaining myself, but he did get me this, I believe, around the time that I got my Game Gear. And I think we went over that during the episode for Sonic the Hedgehog on Game Gear. Basically, me and my sister both got a handheld for Christmas one year because we were doing a road trip all the way from the East Coast to North Dakota. So we were going to be on the road for something like 3 days, and they wanted to keep me and my sister quiet while we were traveling, so they gave us handhelds for Christmas that year. I got the Game Gear, she got a Game Boy. I think of the two, she probably got the better end of the deal, but this one was the more colorful of the two handhelds, so they probably thought I was getting the better one. I don't know. In either case, I played the hell out of both of those, so, I mean, I guess we got our money's worth, essentially. I haven't been reading the story, it doesn't matter. The brothers are being attacked. We got to go to Patusan to try to stop him and save our kingdom. Oh, no! Stop getting kicked. No, bad rat. Bad rat. Come here. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I got another Game Gear. You better give me something good this time, kid. All right, let's pull up another Adam hint. Call for Zatch when outmatched. See, some of these tips really don't they don't give you much. They don't tell you anything. You do move a tiny bit faster if you jump. That's why I do tend to do that. Oh, flip! What are you trying to mess with? Oh, jump kick. I guess there is another attack. Oh, man, I am a master of my skill. Whee! I'll say this. I'm not hating my experience thus far. I get that sometimes I may give games credit that they don't necessarily deserve, but if I'm having fun with the experience, it doesn't matter how cheap or poorly designed it is. It's worth the money if you're having fun, right? Now, there is a guidance system in this game, and I think what it is if you Oh, come on. Beat him. Beat him. There we go. I believe if you follow the arrow, it tells you where to go to find either treasure or possibly to get out of a larger map, but I just don't remember. Oh, I got a diamond pyramid thing. Again, I don't know what that is. We may have covered this in the oh, don't barrel roll into the rats. Come on. There you go. I may have mentioned this before on the episode that we did for Sonic the Hedgehog. The way that we are actually looking at the Game Gear games is I did get a converter unit that works on the Retron 5 that allows me to actually play games on both the Sega, well, in the Sega Genesis slot, but the games are for the Sega Master System, the game card slot on the Sega Master System, as well as the Game Gear. So they kind of give you a couple of additional options that were not necessarily available on the core system. Now, of course, I got that unit well after the fact that I had started doing episodes for the channel, and I did not get to use it for any of the Sega Master System games that I had. That's fine. We're not going to go back and look at any of those. Maybe if I get a wild hair to, pick up some old games on the Sega Master System that I never played, we might do that. But as it stands, I'm not going to go back and look at any of the games we already played. But that does not mean we can't do some of the Game Gear games using this, and I have a small number of them. I thought for the price it was worth looking at them in a nice 720 display instead of somehow trying to set up like a camera and using my Game Gear. And in fact, I don't know if we would actually be able to do that at all. My Game Gear suffered an unfortunate fate. I will not say that this was all someone else's fault. I will own up to the fact that maybe I could have done a better job of storing it, but at one point when I was a teenager, I used to put my Game Gear and all of my games into basically like a giant Ziploc storage bag and store it next to the recliner that we had in our living room. And it would sit incredibly close to the recliner itself. One day, my sister's firstborn son, who was maybe 6 or 7 at that time, I mean, he was a kid, basically, got into that recliner and was just rocking back and forth on it like it was the most exciting rocking chair he'd ever been in his entire life. The Game Gear slipped down underneath the backside of the recliner, and it crunched down on the D-pad and broke it, so it no longer functions correctly. Again, I could have put the Game Gear somewhere else, but I was not terribly happy when I found out what he was doing. So be it. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could probably find a used Game Gear and be able to play games that way, but also we have this, and this kind of works. As long as you don't mind the menu system and some of the other problems that come with an emulation device you insert into an emulation device to play a video game. I have a feeling not all of the games that I have on Game Gear, and I have not checked all of them yet, are not actually going to work with this device. In fact, this was not the episode I was planning to do today. I was actually planning to look at another game that I have on the Game Gear called Axe Battler, a Golden Axe Tale or something like that, and I could not get it to work. Now, it could be the game. I can't discount the possibility that the game itself does not work, but I do believe it is the fact that this emulation device is not perfect. As with most things, if it's a software-based emulation device, it may not necessarily work with every single game that ever comes out. Part of the reason why you don't find a ton of devices that will run N64 or PlayStation games on the market right now is because emulating those systems has not been perfected, and frankly, not all games will work. Oh, let's go ahead and use Zatch real quick. Get him! Ah, it didn't work. Okay, well, whatever. Ah, get him! You're not gonna hit me, Conan the Barbarian. I don't know what's happening here, but I don't think I'm winning. Oh! Oh, beat him. Oh, I'm the best. Look at that. I'm sure that would look really badass if the graphics weren't all messed up. I did try a handful of games when I first got this emulation device to find out if it was actually going to work. The games I did try actually did work, so I don't know. We may end up only being able to look at a couple of games on here, and that's it. But we do have the option to look at plenty of Game Boy games because that is part of the built-in hardware slots that were available on the Retron 5. Whee! Oh! Talk about rock, flag, and eagle. Here it is! Oh, crap! Now, you bastard! I think I'm continuing? Yes, I am. All right. Oh, these eagles are the worst. I'm not just talking about the game, I'm talking about the football team. Or at least their fans. Again, I think the arrow is meant to guide you not just to where you're supposed to go, but also items. But I don't remember. I also don't know how you find the items if you actually do get to them. There are a lot of random fires in the world of Los Angeles and Patusan. Patusan? I'm sure you say that. Now, I did say that my dad got this game for me. I did not say why he got it for me. Well, it turns out I actually did see the movie when it came out. I don't know if I saw it in theaters. I think I just rented it. And, you know, being a kid of maybe 12 or 13, I liked it. Probably because I was an idiot and didn't know what good cinema was at that point. What kid does at 12 or 13? I know there are plenty of people who pretend that they have a refined taste at that age, but no, I was a dumbass kid and had no idea what a good film was. It had action, and it had a guy that I remember seeing in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, so that was good enough for me. Also, I think I had seen The Naked Gun at that point, and I knew Leslie Nielsen was in it. Ah, found a giant thing. We gotta try to get in the thing. What are you, thing? Open. I think that's supposed to be a statue. Kind of looks like eyes on the bottom? I don't know. I'll say this. I think the emulation on here for the games that are working and working correctly is actually pretty good. The Retron gives you the option to do some graphic smoothing, but I have not used it at all for any of the videos that we've recorded because I don't think it makes for a better looking experience. Instead of having, you know, square pixels, they're all just rounded funny, and I don't know if that necessarily makes it a better looking game. Whee! Yep, they are statues. Look at that. I'm not going to let you get away with this. Get away with what? I don't know. Existing. Oh, no. No, don't you barrel roll away. Get out of here. Oh, left or right. Another left. Another right. Get out of there. Get out of there. He's beating you. I'll just keep punching him if he keeps trying to jump up here. Get out of here. Haha, beat you. Now, what are you doing? Oh, he's uppercutting me. If he can do an uppercut, that means I can do an uppercut. I just don't know how to do it. One thing I haven't tried yet, I don't know if there's like combo moves. Like if I can do a Hadouken or like a Shoryuken or anything like that. This may have been one of those games where I got the game, I started playing it without reading the instruction manual and missed out on a whole bunch of stuff that maybe would have made the game easier to play. For example, I think if I go in the menu, I can heal myself. Let's find out. Slow down clock. Slow down bonus clock. Purchase a weapon. That's it. That's all the options. Zatch power up. Rest and heal Johnny. Let's do that. Let's see if that worked. It did. Look at that. All right, cool. I was getting low on health, so that helped out. It's the mummy. I beat up the mummy. Why was the mummy on Patusan? Long way from Egypt, buddy. Okay, that guy disappeared. No! Ah, and I'm dead. Conservatively, that killed me. There's no way to put it other than he just broke my spine. And thus ended the journey of the heirs of the throne of Patusan. Patusan. It's been so long I can't even remember if it's Patusan or Patusan. Doesn't matter, it's a fictional country. Nah! Oh, I got him and then I killed myself. Well, there goes that. The game might be over. Alas, Patusan is mine forever. Yeah, I think the game just ended. Ah, crap. All right, we'll do a little bit more. I don't know how much further I'm going to be able to make it. Game's not easy. There's no polite way to put it. Yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Go, 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 go. Now, I will say this, and obviously I can't remember anymore what any of the tricks were, but there were some tricks in this game, like little in-game cheats that you could do, and I don't remember what they are. I knew what they were when the game first came out, and I figured them all out, and I've beaten the game before, actually, one of the rare times when I could say that. I just don't remember what exactly I was doing that made it much easier, or how exactly to do it. It may have just been exactly what I was just doing now, which is, you know, running away from fights and just blazing my way to the end of the fight. I also think there are weapons that I can purchase and use, although I haven't been doing it. I don't remember how much they cost, so that might be part of it. Look at that beautiful power stance he's got there. I have no idea how I'm going to do a screen grab for this because, man, this isn't going to cut it. I might just have to go online and do that. Most of the pictures I do use as thumbnails for my videos are pulled from the actual video feed that I use, but on a rare occasion, if I cannot find anything that'll work decent, I'll just take something off the internet. Sucks, but hey, you know, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. I don't know what that's helping me with. It's not like there's anything he can roll under at this point. It also does not appear to be... Doesn't appear to actually be damaging the enemy. See, there's an arrow pointing me down. I don't know. Like that. Let's do that a few more times. Get out of here. Puts in all the effort to get up here, and then I punch him right back down to the ground. I mean, he's got some ups. Not that it's going to help him. It's going to be so frustrating. I'm going to get him. Good. I'm dead. Get up. Whee! Ow, my ankles. An interesting choice to have blocks that are sometimes in the foreground and sometimes in the background. And it's kind of hard to tell, but, well, no, it is. It is kind of hard to tell because maybe it's alignment on the ground. Yeah, okay. All right. I guess that works. I would have made the foreground and background boxes a little bit different looking, but it is hard to tell until you get up to it. Like this one is going to be in the same plane that I'm on, or on the same plane that I'm on. Whoa! I just did an axe kick. I didn't know I could do that. Yeah, there he goes. Look at that. I think we've talked about this in the past, but I guess I could bring it up now. I do have some experience doing martial arts. I did Taekwondo for about a year and some change, roughly. At the time, I guess my mom was worried that maybe I was getting to an age where kids were going to start bullying me, and maybe it would be a good idea to teach me some self-defense. And there was a new studio that was opening up near where I lived. And the teacher actually had a history. She was, I want to say, the first American female to medal in Taekwondo at the Olympics. and she opened up a studio near where I lived, and we were among the first class in that particular dojo to start lessons with her. I made it all the way to advanced blue belt, and the belts, the way that they worked, at least in that particular dojo, and I don't think this is universal across every martial art or every particular class, it went white, gold, green, purple, blue advanced blue, red advanced red, brown advanced brown, and then you got your first degree of black belt. So I made it more than halfway through my training, and I was, on the way to getting to a black belt eventually, but actually ran into a couple of things that basically ended my experience doing Taekwondo. Number one, and this is one that I don't think my mother ever knew about, and if she did, maybe she would have told me to just stop so that I didn't hurt myself further. We actually had a class or a graduation ceremony that we would do every time a group of students would actually attain a new belt. And I don't remember which belt this was that I got that this happened for. During the post-belt ceremony, when they were just kind of entertaining whoever showed up for the actual graduation, they decided to do some performances of our strength or agility or whatever. And one of the things that they had us do was they stacked up a whole bunch of these kicking guards that we had, and they were asking the students to try to jump over them cleanly without actually touching any of the kicking guards. So we all took our turns trying to go over them, and I did it just like everyone else was doing. However, we got to a point where I had to jump over a stack of them that was a little bit too high. And unfortunately, while I was jumping over those pads, my feet caught on the topmost pad, and I went down knee first on flooring that basically had the thinnest office setting style carpeting imaginable, basically on top of concrete. So you're talking going up maybe 5-6 feet and coming down knee first on almost no padding. I'm fairly certain I damaged the cartilage in my knees when I did that, and it became much more difficult for me to do some of the stuff that you do in Taekwondo, since it is mostly a kicking style martial arts training. And I couldn't do what I could have done before that. The other thing that kind of ruined our experience was the fact that I think me and my mom and one of my sisters actually was also doing it, just kind of got bored. As crappy as that to say, I don't know, we lost our interest in doing it and stopped ultimately. But yeah, I know that what happened to me during that ceremony was going to affect my ability to keep doing some of the more difficult exercises and moves that I was supposed to be learning at that point. There we go. Of course, when that happened, I was, 15, 16, so I was too young to know that if an injury was bad enough to cause, getting hurt was bad enough to cause permanent damage to say something. I don't think I ever told anybody about that until I got much older and became very apparent that my knees could not do things that they should be able to do. I know it has something to do with that particular incident. Get out of here. Nope, no, I'm dead. Yeah, see you, dummy. No, come on, I double jumped. I'm not going to make it out of this level, am I? I don't know if you can buy a continue in this game. I don't know why it's not double jumping anymore. Whatever. All right, I think that's a good enough look at the game, and we can offer some thoughts on it. Let's go ahead and do the review phase, just like we normally do with Nubs Collection episodes. We'll do a round of the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that for a gear game, basically, it actually controls pretty well. Now, there's an issue with the jumping, and we'll go into that in the bed. I like that there are a variety of different attacks that you can actually do. You can do jabs, you can do leg sweeps, you can do kicks. There were throws that I was doing. I don't know how exactly I was pulling them off, but I was doing them. So they actually implemented what seems like kind of a fairly competent fighting system to the character's actions. I mean, it works. It works decent. And, you know, if you're playing a game that has such a very limited premise based on a film that at this point hadn't even been finished, so they had no idea whether or not any of the stuff that you were going to be able to do in the game was actually going to be in the film. That said, it plays like it's supposed to. Let's just go ahead and get the thing started so we're not looking at graphics, real bad graphics. Come on. Yeah. Just get to the intro. Thank you. Go away. Graphically, I mean, for a handheld game that came out in '93, it's decent. The character looks like the character from the film, basically. It was pretty easy to get that right, because when he is doing the final scenes, you know, when they're invading the basically the castle where the colonel is stationed, his throne, Johnny is basically just shirtless, wearing blue pants, blue cuffs, and a yellow bandana with the little red dot in the center there. I guess that's his family crest or symbol or whatever. So, I mean, graphically it's fine. Music and audio is pretty bad, but that's, you know, par for course for a Game Gear game. Graphically, it's functional. I can tell what's happening. The characters are very easy to distinguish from the background, so they got that right. And you do have other item options, although it was kind of hard for me to see what they were because, of course, the menu is just a hot mess because of issues with the emulation here. I can't knock it for that. They give you options for healing, for telling them where to go, and I think the character is supposed to tell you where items are hidden in the game, the Adam hints. But we didn't get to see those very much. The Zatch power-up is a nice little touch where if you're struggling with an enemy, you can go into the menu, and I don't know how often you can do it. You can have Zatch show up and fight the enemies or clear the screen or whatever. So that was a nice way to kind of ease you through the game if you got to a more difficult part. So I like that. And again, you do have some other options that we just did not explore. And I think there are weapons and projectiles that you can give to the character, but we didn't look at them very much. As far as the bad, the audio stinks. It's real bad. It's just little beeps and boops, and frankly, just not terribly inspired. Again, this was in production while the movie was being made, so they probably had no idea what the audio in the movie was going to sound like. They had no frame of reference for it, so they just couldn't do it. And they just said, just make up a soundtrack. And this is what we got for it. It was just kind of cheesy beeps and boop. Not great. The jumping is kind of flawed in one sense. I don't mind that they gave you jumps that you had to do kind of a double jump to reach, but it did not work the way that it should have. When I was trying to make double jumps at the end of the game, you have to press the jump a second time, but you have to do it at a very specific time in the jump in order to nail it. For some reason, I was having no trouble doing it in the first half of the game, and then as we started playing a little bit later, I was missing the timing, and I just could not get it right. So it ended up me flailing on the button a lot to try to make the jump. And that's just not fun. If you're going to make a system where you have to complete a higher type of jump in your jump animation, make it easily repeatable. Don't make it something where if I don't press the jump a second time mid-jump, that you're just kind of flailing on the button randomly and hoping that you got it at exactly the right time to make the higher jump. That's not good design. The enemy design leaves a lot to be desired because it's just the same build of a ninja, but in different colors. And I fought one rat. The same rat over and over. And I guess there was an eagle in the third stage. Yeah, they could have come up with some more enemy types, even if they weren't part of the actual movie. I mean, what licensed game sticks strictly to the assets that come from the movie itself? I don't think any of them ever do, because they realize if you narrow your scope down too much, it becomes a very simplistic experience. And this game would certainly rank in simplistic experiences as a result, because you're just fighting other ninjas. That's kind of lame. As far as the ugly, I can't knock the game for glitches that are a result of emulation. I don't remember this game having any problems with the menus when I would play it on Game Gear. I'll put it down here today simply because it was making it hard to figure out what I could do option-wise outside of just walking left to right and beating up enemies with, just my hands and feet. I also would have liked, and I don't recall this ever being the case, since the movie is called Surf Ninjas, it would have been nice if at some point in the game, and I don't know how they would implement it, you actually surfed. They do it in the movie, as I recall. There was like a scene at the very beginning where you see them surfing, maybe in the intro, and I think they actually use that as a way to approach the castle at the end of the movie as well. Those are the only two times I remember actually seeing anyone surf in the movie. But yeah, I mean, it's in the title, so why wouldn't there be any actual surfing happening in the game? That seems like something where they just couldn't figure out how to make it work logically, so they just said, just have him be a side-scrolling brawler character, and that's it. So yeah, it would have been nice if they had found a way to work that into the game. Also, the bosses are pretty one note. I mean, they seem like slightly more powerful ninjas, and occasionally they can throw stuff, but some of the ninjas could throw stuff as well. So there was really nothing differentiating them other than their graphical design from the ninjas you were already fighting. So that was kind of lame. Let's go ahead and give the game a score. We do our score in Randars, 1 to 10. I had fun with it for what it was, but it is not a good game, so we're going to give it a 6. It was... I like the variety in the move set for the character, the base character. Not counting weapons, because I think he gets nunchucks as one of his weapons. And maybe some projectiles, and I had no way of telling where exactly they were in the menu there to show them off. But he does have lots of variety in his move set. Unfortunately, the enemies he fights do not justify that wide variety of attack options, because it's literally the same ninjas who also seem to have the same moves you do. So it's literally you're just fighting yourself every single level, plus a couple of random wild animals until you get to the end of the game. So it's not a terribly varied experience. They get points for making the character have a diverse move set. They don't get points for anything else. 6 Randars. It's playable. It's okay. It's not a game that anyone should ever go and seek out, even for the rare bit of distinction of being a game that came out before the film it was based on. As unusual and unique as that is, it does not justify ever going out of your way to pick up this game and play it. It's just not that good. That's going to do it for this episode of Nub's Handheld Collection. As always, I do appreciate each of you watching, and I will see you next time.